The xenobiologists had warned Kalen about the Rickery cubs. They were apex predators from birth, equipped with retractable claws that could shred titanium weave and jaws capable of crushing bone before they reached adolescence. The colony reports called them walking nightmares and recommended immediate termination of any cub found outside designated containment zones. Kalen had nodded politely during the briefing, then promptly ignored every word. She found the cub on her third solar cycle exploring the ravines beyond Settlement 7. It was small, barely the size of a Terran dog, with midnight black fur that rippled like liquid shadow and eyes that gleamed with an intelligence that made her chest tight. The creature was caught in a smuggler's trap, its hind leg twisted at an unnatural angle, dried blood matting the fur around the wound. Most species would have approached with sedation darts and containment fields. Kalen simply sat down 3 meters away and opened her ration pack. "Hey there," she said softly, pulling out a protein bar. "That looks like it hurts." The cub's lips peeled back, revealing rows of crystalline teeth. A warning growl rumbled from its chest, a sound that promised death to anything foolish enough to come closer. Kalen took a bite of her protein bar and chewed thoughtfully. "Yeah, I'd be pissed too." She sat there for 2 hours. The twin suns crossed overhead, painting the ravine in shades of amber and crimson. The cub watched her with unblinking eyes, its growls gradually diminishing to uncertain huffs. When Kalen finally stood, the creature tensed, preparing for attack or flight despite its injury. Instead, Kalen walked away. She returned the next day with medical supplies and actual food, raw meat from the settlement's protein synthesizers. The cub was still there, weaker now, its breathing shallow. This time when she sat down, she was only 2 meters away. "Stubborn, aren't you?" Kalen unwrapped the meat and tossed a small piece halfway between them. "Reminds me of someone I know." The cub didn't move toward the food, but its eyes tracked the morsel with desperate hunger. Kalen shrugged and ate her own meal, making exaggerated sounds of satisfaction. When she left, the meat remained untouched. But when she returned at dawn, it was gone. The pattern continued for 6 days. Each day, Kalen sat a little closer. Each day, the cub seemed a fraction less hostile, a degree more curious. On the 7th day, she knelt beside the trap with her tools visible and her hands steady. "Okay, buddy, this is going to hurt, but I promise I'm trying to help." The cub's growl rose in pitch, but it didn't snap at her as she worked the trap's release mechanism. When the metal jaws finally opened, the creature tried to scramble away and collapsed, whimpering, a sound so heartbreakingly vulnerable that Kalen's eyes stung. She reached out slowly, telegraphing every movement. Her gloved hand hovered above the injured leg. "I know you're scared, but I've got you." The cub struck like lightning. Its jaws clamped around her glove with enough force to dent the reinforced material. Kalen felt the pressure, felt the way those crystalline teeth sought purchase, seeking the soft flesh beneath. She didn't pull away, didn't flinch, didn't reach for the plasma pistol at her hip. Instead, Kalen raised her hand slowly, lifting the cub's head with it. The creature hung there, suspended by its own grip, growling softly, a sound that held confusion now, not just rage. Its rear legs dangled uselessly, its whole body weight supported by its bite on her glove. "It's okay," Kalen whispered. "I'm not going anywhere." She held perfectly still. The cub's growls faded to uncertain whines. Its eyes, burning gold in the morning light, met hers, and something passed between them. A recognition, an understanding that this strange, soft creature wasn't acting like prey or predator, but something else entirely. Slowly, the cub's jaws relaxed. It released her glove and dropped into her arms, too weak to run, too confused to fight. Kalen felt its rapid heartbeat against her chest, felt the tremors running through its small frame. "There we go," she murmured, carefully examining the injured leg. "Let's get you fixed up." She named him Vash, an old Earth word meaning dwelling or home. The xenobiologists were furious when she brought him back to the settlement. The colony administrator threatened to have her deported. The security chief called her insane. Kalen had faced down corporate raiders, survived a ship crash on a methane moon, and once talked a Thraxian war party into a peace treaty using nothing but hand gestures and shared rations. She'd learned long ago that humans had one advantage the galaxy consistently underestimated: their absolute, bone-deep stubbornness when it came to protecting things they cared about. "He's injured and alone," Kalen said flatly, standing before the colony council with Vash cradled in her arms, his splinted leg wrapped in medical gel. "I'm keeping him." They tried to argue. They cited regulations and safety protocols and species compatibility studies. Kalen listened politely, nodded at appropriate moments, and then walked out with her predator cub still clutched against her chest. Vash healed over the following weeks. He grew rapidly, terrifyingly so, his midnight fur gaining an iridescent sheen, his body filling out with lethal muscle. But when he looked at Kalen, his eyes remained soft. When she worked in her quarters, he curled beside her, his deep purrs rumbling like distant thunder. When she walked the settlement corridors, he patted at her heel, and colonists who once scoffed began to nod in grudging respect, because humans, the galaxy was learning, didn't follow the same rules as everyone else. They didn't see apex predators and think threat. They saw injured cubs and thought friend. They didn't calculate survival odds. They simply decided what was right and made the universe bend to accommodate. The Rickery eventually made contact with Settlement 7. Their delegation arrived with military escorts, demanding the return of their lost cub. Kalen met them at the landing pad with Vash at her side, now nearly her height, his presence radiating lethal capability. The lead Rickery, a scarred warrior named the Rex, stared at the scene with all four eyes wide. "You tamed him?" Kalen smiled, resting her hand on Vash's head. The massive predator leaned into her touch, that soft growl rumbling in contentment. "No," she said simply. "We chose each other." And in that moment, watching a human and a creature that should have torn her apart standing together in perfect trust, the Rex understood what the rest of the galaxy was slowly learning. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tactics, that it was their inexplicable, unreasonable, absolutely unshakable capacity to love the things that should terrify them.